Hello, everybody. Welcome to the fortnightly Backdrop Outreach meeting. Every 2 weeks, we get together and talk about how to get the word out about Backdrop. This is our last outreach meeting before the release of 1.5, which is coming out a week from today, in fact. So the goal of this meeting and every meeting that we have like this is to get people talking about Backdrop, to get it out there in front of people and get people familiar with what it is. Let's see, we have in general some large level tasks that we'd like to figure out, the meta items basically of trying to figure out how to manage outreach tasks. Right now we're doing this on GitHub. See the audience marketing tag in GitHub under the backdropcms.org issue queue. Or actually, I guess it's actually now audience outreach, excuse me. But we also need to find additional people to help with outreach-related tasks. The people that we have right now in the Backdrop community, we've got a good number of developers. We actually do have a couple of marketers, but we've already have been utilizing their resources pretty extensively. So we need more people to help with marketing, if at all possible. Things like our blog posts and newsletters and organizing our channels, all kinds of things. But let's go through each of those one at a time. The newsletter. So we need to send regular newsletters out to our people. We have an issue for this at 177 under the backdropcms.org issue queue. That looks like it's been neglected a little bit, but the idea was to provide a schedule of newsletter items that we would send out on a regular basis, like preferably around once a month or so. We probably have that much information, or definitely have that much information to spread around. So it'd be great if we kept people in touch with what Backdrop was doing on a regular basis. Some action items. We have a current newsletter that Jen has pretty much completed, but I don't think that she sent it kind of the, in case you missed 1.4, here's what was in it, but now 1.5 is coming out a week from now. So this is what we're talking about. We know what we're supposed to be doing, but, well, actually that's not even true, but we need some assistance making sure these things happen. So we will need to be drafting a new newsletter for the 1.5 release. After a release, generally what I've been doing is I write up the release announcement on backdropcms.org that contains the video/animated GIFs of the new features and gives a high-level overview. What we've done in the past is pull that blog post and throw it into a marketing newsletter and then send it out to everybody. Blog posts. We have hope that we can start writing more regular blog posts for our website. There's an issue for this at issue 158 in the backdropcms.org issue queue. We got a new one written up this week by Gregory. Thanks, Gregory. That is creating pull requests against core the easy, in parentheses, noob way, which actually is really pretty great. It's basically just an intro into how to use GitHub's built-in interface for filing pull requests, and it's what Gregory has been using as a non-coder to change strings, like when he finds a typo or something like a label that says update but should say save. He's been going through and just finding that line in the code, editing it directly on GitHub, and then that files a pull request for him, which is awesome because it's in terms of volume of pull requests, Gregory has become our #1 PR creator, and he's been doing almost all of it through the interface on GitHub and without checking out the code onto his local at all, which is pretty great to have the tools of GitHub actually working for us in a really positive way like that. You can check that out at backdropcms.org/news. Let's see, action items on blog posts. We'd like more people to write more blog posts. Anyone that creates an account on backdropcms.org they actually can't publish their own blog posts, but I think that they can create them. So for the time being, if you'd like to write up a blog post, you can do so on backdropcms.org or elsewhere, and give us a ping in Gitter, and we would be more than happy to help facilitate publishing that blog post on backdropcms.org itself. Write the next blog post. Let me see if we have an agenda for this. Well, the next blog post will be the release of 1.5, almost certainly. That'll be a week from today, unless somebody has a blog post they really would like to send out sooner than that. That's all we got for blog posts. Videos. Create videos about the coolest parts of Backdrop CMS. I actually know Alberto was in here a minute ago, but he had to depart this meeting before we started. He's been creating tutorial videos on Backdrop CMS and publishing them in Spanish, which is awesome. And so we now have 2 videos with Alberto doing introductions into Backdrop CMS. It actually looks like the second presentation. Oh, no, it's still a demo. But there are links to these great videos in the agenda document that we're going through right now. What we'll do is we'll take these videos and cross-post them into the Backdrop CMS YouTube channel. I don't think that they show up in our stream, but they show up as a list of our own favorites. So you can go to our YouTube channel where this video is being recorded, and also find these great new videos that Alberto has been creating. Okay, that's it for videos. We'd love to get more videos out, of course. I think like it would be a huge thing for us to have an introductory video on our homepage to actually get people like the I don't want to install it or figure it out myself, but I still want to see it in action. It would be great to have an introductory video that is like the standard, like minute to 2 minute long presentation, kind of like the pitch of what is Backdrop, and then put that available in a highly visible location like the homepage. Events. So we've actually been fairly good about attending events. Like Backdrop has been really present at a whole lot of Drupal events around the world. But we need to spread out beyond that. So I said kind of the problem right there, that these are Drupal events that we're attending, and there's a lot more events out there than Drupal events. And although we've been doing a pretty good job of attracting existing Drupal developers and letting them know about our alternative, there's a really good chance that we could attract new users to Backdrop that may have never heard of Drupal at all. So upcoming Drupal events that we know that we're going to be at, October 20th through 23rd, we will be at Bad Camp. We have a training, all-day training, and an all-day summit at Bad Camp. So that'll be a pretty big event as far as Backdrop participation goes. We'd like to have a presence at other open source events such as CMS Expo, potentially, OzCon, and other kinds of events like the Nonprofit Developer Summit, which takes place here in Oakland this coming November. And as pointed out, CiviCon coming up in St. Louis May 7th. It looks like Jack has a possibility of going to that one. Yes, Mike?
You might also want to talk about targeting like actual industries that we're going after. Like Janine's headed out to the Online News Association conference next week. And I know that like WordPress goes there and tries to convince all of the online news publications to use WordPress. And if we were to take more action and try to reach out to those different potential groups.
Yeah. Yep.
Unfortunately, too late for me to plan to go to that and represent us there, but we should think about that going forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, the non-developer summit is great, audience-centric conference that focuses on one particular audience that is in our target. But there's a lot of other things that we also could be hitting. I'm sure that there are educational summits around technology, for example. There may even be small business summits for this sort of thing for technology that we could be giving our pitches at. And of course, there's the 1,000 different subsegments of each of those things. So, yeah, lots of opportunities. If we have any volunteers to represent Backdrop, we can help you out with the pitch, marketing information, and materials. Let's see, more on the Badcamp Backdrop Summit. We have a call for speakers if anyone would like to present on Backdrop or help collaborate on putting together a presentation for the Backdrop Summit coming up in October. We have some ideas that we could potentially do demos with various infrastructure providers like Calavox. I guess Calavox not quite infrastructure, but like Pantheon, how to spin up Backdrop websites, potentially with Calavox. Civi CRM, we've got our integration working pretty effectively now with Backdrop and Civi. Doing some introductions and demos into how they integrate together would also be fantastic. Let's see. It looks, case studies. So case studies would be a great thing to cover at the summit, like showing people what people have made with Backdrop and how they assembled it. We have potentially some volunteers, John at Calamuno, and Brian, which is one of Jen's clients at MasterFit, which is the website for bootfitters.com. That would be great to have those people. I think these people are actually already volunteered, so we already have at least 2 case studies lined up for that event. And the Civi example, if we have anybody that has built a Civi CRM / Backdrop website, we know that there are people out there building these websites, but whether or not they've actually been launched or at least presentable or can be talked about, we'll see by October. That's it for events. Next potential avenue for outreach is advertising. So we could potentially set up paid advertising campaigns, and there's an issue discussing this in the backdropcms.org issue 124. I don't think that there's been any recent discussion on advertising, but there's some possibilities that we've been talking about, like reaching out directly to individual sites that we feel may have a good fit for the Backdrop audience. Things like it's been suggested CSS tricks or Stack Overflow, and advertising directly on those sites, or a generic just advertise everywhere on the internet through something like AdWords from Google. We don't yet have any movement yet towards pursuing advertising, but if anyone is interested in spearheading that, we are definitely very interested. Okay, our website, backdropcms.org. Right now it's where almost all Backdrop information is aggregated, and we could potentially make a lot better use of our website as a marketing tool. Things we could do, optimize for search results, do a little bit of SEO on our own website. There's an issue for this at 123, some items that we could tackle. Things like our meta tags aren't fully comprehensive at this point. To get search engine traffic into backdropcms.org. Add more useful sales pitch information. We have an issue for this at 129. I think this is about splitting up we have some real basic features listed on our homepage, like, works great on mobile, that sort of thing, where we could potentially build out that information to be more elaborate, maybe more of a summary on the homepage, and then cross-link that to more elaborate, in-depth information. Add more about our culture. says in the agenda here, company culture, but maybe community culture is, I don't know, it sounds a little funny to me. But anyway, we could add more about our culture because it's been brought to our attention a couple of times that our sales pitch for Backdrop is primarily driven around cost and affordability, and that's what makes it appropriate for things like a nonprofit or education. But as an alternative to that approach, it's been brought up that we also have a lot of credibility, we'll say, around doing this actually for the sake of benefiting social causes and just getting it out there, specifically trying to make it so that people can spread information more easily, which gives us the opportunity to talk about Backdrop from basically a philosophical, non-economically driven perspective, that we are software that could be potentially leveraged for causes, and we have built this specifically so that information can get out there, not to make money. I mean, that's not why we're doing it. We're doing it to actually just empower people. And that for some people, that sort of messaging can be a lot more effective than it's cheaper. So driving home that sort of messaging could help get us into other audiences. It looks like Matthew Tift and Jack have been going back and forth on this for a bit. You can read up more about that in issue 288. Let's see. Adding profile pictures to our PMC page. I think that this one was already done. Yeah, Jen did it right after the meeting 2 weeks ago, where she just put up pictures of all of the PMC members on the PMC page, which is the second page in the handbook. And that was just a small task to, in an effort to try to humanize our project a little bit, to let people know that they're, real humans that are working on this, and here we are. So that's been great. Nice fix. I see that it also got a little bit of styling, which looks great. Let's see. Find the existing roadmap for the website and put it in a meta issue. That is a to-do. Right. We have a publicly posted roadmap for Backdrop the product, but we don't have one for our website. It might be good to consolidate all of that and put it all in one place. It suggests here that we use a meta issue until we find a better, or if there is one, a more appropriate place for consolidating all of these outreach issues. We'll continue to put it into GitHub, most likely, under the backdropcms.org issue queue. Let's see, completed items, create a main support page. Looks like that is coming along. Oh, this looks pretty nice. At backdropcms.org/support. I don't think that this has been linked anywhere. And looks like it still has some margin issues potentially, but looks like the basics of it has been built out. That it would basically be a landing page for all. Oh, it is linked from the home page, but it still has some margin issues. It's a kind of a clearinghouse for if you need help with Backdrop, including some consolidated options like the chats, the issue queues, books, professional services, the forum, documentation, all of this stuff, basically redirecting people to all of the potential areas or avenues in which they could get help. I'm going to make a little note in here. It's a little styling love on that support page. But as a starting point, looking really good. Let's see, other ideas, re-architect the content and the menu on the website for specific audiences. Looks like there's some feedback in here that that's just looks like a brainstorming idea because there's not even an issue for it yet, but potentially restructuring the menu on backdropcms.org to provide specific audiences. Okay, I see what this is. Like, if you're a small business, go here. If you're a school, go here. If you're a nonprofit, go here. And kind of trying to segment audiences into information that we could potentially provide them that would be useful. Yeah, there's some back and forth about this. Yeah, it was a trend for a while, but didn't actually work, as it says here. I'm not sure that that's been statistically proven. It probably has. But yeah, we could still potentially have sections on our site for each of those things rather than re-architecting our entire menu to be segmented like that. Have marketing pages that are built out from an SEO standpoint that says something like, what's the best CMS for nonprofits, and then goes on about how Backdrop is the best CMS for nonprofits. And then that can be a great landing page for people coming in through search traffic. Let's see, postponed items, re-architect the product to match the terminology on the website. Combine modules, themes, layouts, and modules, themes, and layouts into add-ons, both on the backdropcms.org website and in the admin menu. So this is a long-term thing because right now the website is structured in the same way as the product, but when we rearrange, if we rearrange the structure of Backdrop core itself into a general add-ons section where modules, themes, and layouts are consolidated, it would probably make sense to use that same terminology on backdropcms.org itself for people that are trying to find those things. That's a long ways out, though. We've got a long time before Backdrop 2 comes out when something like that would happen. Okay, and lastly, Wes added some interesting things for making our website more effective. He worked up some analytics dashboards for backdropcms.org and the API website. Do you want to talk about those, Wes?
Sure. Okay, so let's do that. So it's a fairly new product on from Google called Data Studio. It under the covers, like the permission schemes and like the interface and everything are all related to like the Google Docs and Sheets and everything. So the big difference is that it's made to make reports, but you can technically do this in GA. The problem is people need to have access to our analytics, which can get hairy real quickly. So this gives anyone who cares to go out and look at it a view into how our site's performing, but they only need permission to access this document like it was a Google Doc. So this has anyone with the link can access it permission. So if you have a link to it, you can visit it whenever you want, and it's always up to date. I even added a few. The hit area is a little messed up there, but I even added you can change the date, or sometimes on some of these pages you might be interested in people who came from Google versus people who came from Reddit or whatever it is. And this filter in the top left changes a little bit. So basically, I just took a stab in the dark of what things we might care about for this. So the first one's general site engagement, first page. Second page is social sharing. So this is basically if Google sees the refer as Twitter or something like that, it flags it a little differently and gives us some interesting data off of that. And then searches are working for the main website, and I think it'd be interesting to kind of differentiate between searches on modules, themes, and layouts pages, and not just lump them all together, which is what's happening right now. There isn't a whole lot of data right now, as you can see. Like the 14 searches for web forms, like it's not that much. But if it gets more popular, it'd really be good to see them all separately. If the form gets more popular. And then, yeah, I had some other site engagement stuff on the fourth page. I have this one's kind of like the stuff that I didn't want to put on the first page, or not I didn't want to, but didn't have room for, that are important. So 404s, we had a few spammers there for a little bit, but I looked into this and they're gone now. It's just they were, I think they're like 2 weeks ago, they got all their content got removed, and so that's not coming through anymore. But yeah, so this kind of stuff can actually service that. So outbound links is something if it's showing up a lot, and it's not a kosher URL, you can tell pretty quickly that maybe a spammer is sending a bunch of bots there to a link that they posted somehow. But then, yeah, some other things. Bounces by page, I don't know if that's actually that useful. Device type is just an interesting fact. But 404s and outbound links are really good info. I also did this for api.backdropcms.org. It's not getting a ton of traffic, or at least not a ton of traffic that doesn't have ad blocker on, because ad blocker generally block Google Analytics. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Here I'd be interested in kind of is there any problem with our site that we could be fixing, making it easier, that we can see from data, like people are searching for things and they're not finding them. Unfortunately, the searching is not tied together quite right. The URL pattern for the search on API looks like it isn't done in a way that Google Analytics can automatically pick it up, which isn't a big deal. I updated it yesterday or 2 days ago and hoped that maybe a slight update might fix it, but it hasn't. So a tiny bit of JavaScript will fix this. We'll just send them the info manually instead of getting it auto-magically.
Yeah, that API website, I think the autocomplete thing, which is the primary way that people search,
Yeah.
because that's done via Ajax, and then if there's only one hit, it skips the search page and just goes right to the results. And so that's probably why nothing is being picked up, because
it's actually looking for parameters, and in the way we do it, it's just part of the URL.
Yeah, you never go to the search page at all. Yeah.
Well, even if you hit the search results page.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which is the problem. And I think I'm most interested when they didn't find what they wanted. That's kind of something. Maybe there's something we can improve on. Although, yeah, adding some custom JavaScript events to the autocomplete field might be cool if that's not too hard. But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if they found what they wanted, I don't know how much I care. It's just kind of fun. It might be cool just to get like how many people are using this metric, but to get any deeper than that might be hairy. So anyway, these dashboards aren't really that useful unless you have goals and like what do I want to achieve, and so like let's say our goal is to trying to think of something that doesn't directly involve the website, which is what I think about. Our goal might be to get more education people or something like that, and let's say we have an education landing page to help us with that larger marketing goal, and then we can measure how many people hit that page, where they go, do they download Backdrop, or do they do whatever action we would like. So having marketing goals that we can then translate to something measurable whenever we do an effort, whether it's AdWords or going to a convention, handing something out, or whatever it is, making a landing page for organic search. Yeah, I was able to pull out on the first page, there's the downloads for Backdrop from the home page of the main site, and then spinning up from Pantheon. That might not be entirely accurate. There might be some data cleanup we have to do. And all we're really measuring is how many people click those links, people or maybe robots. So I'm going to see if there's an easy way to filter out robots from our analytics. And I couldn't think of anything else we want to filter out. I mean, if this were a company website, I would filter out the company's IP I don't care about internal traffic, but I can't really do that here. Or like the company VPN, which again doesn't help. But yeah, if there's anything else we should be filtering out, we could do that. But right now, all the reports are being done off of the Firehose, which you usually filter down in a different view. Anyway, so yeah, as we're spinning up marketing, I just want to make sure that we get a sense of like how well we're doing, because that can either encourage us to do more, or if something in the same direction, or encourage us to maybe figure out what's not working if something's not working. So.
Yeah, do you have any ideas where we should catalog the fact that these items exist? Like mentioning on this call is great, but we should probably make a record of it somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, this is so, right now this is so public facing, we could potentially even put it, somewhere that is entirely public, like part of a handbook or documentation or something like that. But I'm not entirely sure that that's appropriate.
Yeah. So on lullabot.com on our Scrum, we'll go through some of the pages on that every week, like 404s, make sure nothing crazy happened where we're getting a bunch of hits on a page that doesn't exist, or a page that went down for some reason. So like, I don't know if this call would be the best, or or I don't know, maybe just one of us checks on it and then flags any issues. Could also take care of that function. Basically, someone should take a glance at certain things every once in a while, whether it's part of a call or not. But yeah, if it's a part of the call, then it could just be in the agenda.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, we'll leave it in here for now, at least it'll still be a part of next week's meeting, or 2 weeks from now, but we'll probably just give a shout out to it. It might be interesting, not 2 weeks from now, because we probably will not have announced it by the time the meeting happens, but we'll probably see our post-release bump, which is always fun.
So do we have a marketing goals kind of document, or does somebody have that kicking around in their head? Is that something ICANN has?
No, other than, these weekly agendas are basically the metas, if you will, for the time being.
Cool. Yeah, so I don't know if that would be a worthwhile exercise, or if maybe I can start picking through the agenda here and maybe glean something I could get out of the report.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
We have to solve it right now.
Brainstorming in that area.
Yeah, right. Cool.
Okay, well, that's the end of the agenda for the fortnightly outreach meeting. Gore also mentioned here in the chat that he did a talk recently talking about Backdrop CMS at Drupal Toronto users group, which is fantastic. I'll throw a link to this in the agenda just for posterity's sake. Thanks, Gore. Awesome. Actually, we don't even have a thing for users groups in here. Users groups. I'll put a thing in there. I think that's it for this weekly meeting. If anybody has anything that they would like to add, you can speak now. Okay. Well, thank you guys for attending. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll see all outreach-oriented people again in 2 weeks, which will be after the release of 1.5. So very exciting. Thank you guys all, and we'll see you in chat and possibly in the standard developer meeting here in about 10 minutes. Thanks, guys.